I think we can move now to a so-called success story, at least from a liberal point of view. Tunisia, Hamza, please.
Thank you, Helmut. It's okay? So I'm really happy to be with you today. I want and I would like to thank the Vienna Institute and a special thank to Magda and to Dr. Helmut Krieger. I mean, it's 5 years after the Arab uprising. There is a temptation to make a kind of balance sheet or kind of evaluation of the situation in Tunisia and in the Arab world generally. An evaluation of this process, the revolutionary process that started in 2010 and 2011. And this temptation is even bigger, I mean, in light of the recent social protests that have occurred recently in Tunisia, in the interior regions, at the Algerian border, and in many regions, actually in 16 regions in Tunisia, and in the suburbs of the big cities like Tunis, the capital Tunis. Many people, they start talking about a second revolution. I don't buy this argument. I mean, there is a process that started even before 2010, and this process is continuing now from 2010 and until now, with ups and downs, with success and fails. And Tunisia, as Helmut said, is presented as a success story in the Arab world. Actually, many things have been done in Tunisia. This is the good side of the story, but too many other things need to be done in the future. Tunisia succeeded in drafting a constitution, succeeded in organizing 3 waves of peaceful elections, succeeded also in protecting the public space, free public space. The civil society is dynamic, is vigilant, and is counterbalancing the temptation of the police, return of police state, etc. So there are many reasons, as I said, to hope for the future, for a nice future for democracy in Tunisia. However, I think that this narrative success story is obfuscating something really important that we should keep in mind, which is the main driver of the uprisings of 2010 to 2011, which started in Sidi Bouzid with Mohamed Bouazizi, as you mentioned. His desperate act of self-immolation and spread throughout the country in the deprived regions until the capital, Tunis. This main driver is social justice, and I mean this is really something now on the top agenda of the Tunisian policymakers and the top agenda of Tunisians people, and especially people who are sidelined from the political representation since 2011. Actually, during the over the 5 years, the social and economic issue was marginalized, and priority was given to the constitutional and to the political process. And now we are witnessing the return of this, really strong return of this struggle, this social conflicts, this issue of social justice, as the economic crisis is really intense in the country. Just to give you an idea, the growth rate in Tunisia last year was 0.5%. It was less than 1%, whereas Tunisia needs really to make between 7 and 10% to start resolving its problems. The unemployment is very high. I mean, hitting especially the young people and the university graduates. 40% of the young people in Tunisia are unemployed. 42% of the graduates are unemployed. The situation is really disastrous in the interior regions, which are and were and historically marginalized by the central government. During decades, over 2 decades, under Ben Ali's regime, under the dictatorship of Ben Ali, 80% of the public investment were made in 20% of the territory, I mean, in the coastal regions and the capital. This is important to mention because the lack of infrastructure, the lack of opportunities, the lack of job creations, the absence of opportunities is really fueling the social anger and the grievances, the social and economic grievances. Many people are arguing that it's about demography, like in other countries of the Arab world. I mean, Tunisia, Egypt, etc. are young societies, so those things will be resolved with time. I mean, it's just we need to be patient. But Tunisia is living a kind of paradox, actually. The situation is really complicated and complex because Tunisia is not a young society. This is the paradox. Young people from between 15 and 35 years represent just 40% of the population. So this is important to mention because the problem of the unemployment is really structural in Tunisia. It's related to the structure of the economy in Tunisia, to its incapacity to create jobs and to create opportunities for young people. I mean, each year there are 140,000 people coming on the labor market and competing for an average of 60,000 jobs. So there are more than 80,000 people without jobs, I mean, condemned to be unemployed. The other thing is that many people are graduated through decades. The university, the massification or the democratization of the education gave hope also for many social groups to climb the social ladder, etc. But the economy is really still based on the jobs and sectors with low cost, I mean, which doesn't need skills or special skills. 85% of the jobs doesn't need any qualifications in Tunisia. So this is kind of paradox because it's creating a kind of paradoxical unemployment, which is those with the university qualifications are actually at higher risk of remaining jobless or of occupying jobs that doesn't correspond to their qualifications. And this lag or this discrepancy between the output of the education system and the structure of the economy could explain why the issue of social justice is becoming more contentious today. When I talk about economic justice, it's about employment, access to economic opportunities, access to land, access to credit, access to health, access to public infrastructure, etc. So maybe Tunisia is really presented as one of the one of the Arab countries that achieved big progress or big development through decades, but now in Tunisia there are still people dying in the south or in the interior regions because they have not access to health, I mean to hospitals, to public hospitals. So many explanations actually have been suggested to account for the spread of social conflicts. There is the lack of political vision. There is also the fragility of the compromise between the old regime and the Islamists. There is also the priority given to stability and to short-term deals over addressing the structural problems of the economy. And all those reasons are important. However, there is a need really to understand the deep dynamic that characterized the post-revolutionary period. Actually, the problem is structural. It's not, as I said, not simply located in the inadequate choices made by the elites. The revolution came from the margins of the system. When I talk about the margins, I'm talking about geographical margins, Kasserine, Sidi Bouzid, all the interior regions, but also I'm talking about social margins. People, young people who have not access to employment, who are struggling really to carve out a place for themselves in a society, young people who are placeless, who are really looking to be someone, I mean, to achieve, to create a kind, or succeed to create a kind of achievement, personal achievement, etc. So all these margins started the revolutionary process in Tunisia. And the political change succeeded because insiders within the system joined the movement. And when I'm talking about the insiders, I'm talking about the unions, about the middle classes, about the public sector employees, etc. But the problem is really that the insiders monopolized the political representation over those 5 years. Monopolized the political representation, monopolized also a kind of power to negotiate benefits, to negotiate the improvement of their economic conditions. I'm talking also about the public sector, especially about the public sector employees, but also about businessmen, about big businesses who really succeeded in protecting their interests through backing the Nida Tunis, the party which won the elections in fall 2014. And those people, the outsiders, found themselves sidelined once again, without political representation and without access to economic opportunities. The question maybe could be, why now and not 2 or 3 years ago? And the answer is that there was a politics of waiting implemented by the several governments, starting from 2011 until 2014. This politics of waiting is basically based on social programs, on welfare, welfare to work programs, hiring almost 100,000 people, distributing allowances, what we call in Tunisia hope allowances for unemployed university graduates. But progressively, this mechanism started to be deactivated in 2014 because of budget constraints. So those mechanisms played the role of buying social peace for a while, for the new political class to really establish itself, to focus on the constitutional and political issues. And there is a lot to say about the budgetary constraints, the problem that Tunisian elites, political elites are denouncing, the lack of support from the international community, We can discuss about those issues in the discussion. I'm going quickly on these issues. So, I mean, this politics of waiting could be explained also by the logics or the constraints of the political actors. I mean, the Islamists in Tunisia, when I talk about Islamists, I'm talking about the Mahda party. They are concerned mainly about their integration to the political system, about normalizing their position in the new political system and the new political order. So they were really trying to avoiding taking risk, trying to keep low profile, not creating I mean, blockage with the business elites, with the bureaucracy, etc. And even the compromise between the old regime or the secularists and the Islamists, it's a kind of compromise based on a risk avoidance strategy of mutual neutralization between those two forces. It's not a compromise based on conflict resolution, but in a kind of neutralization, as I say. So, on the other hand, Nida Tunis, the main party which won the elections in fall 2014, is representing the business elites, the old regime's interests, of course, and the business elites. There is a new dynamic worth to be noticed in Tunisia is that 10% of the MPs, more than 10% of the members of the new parliament are businessmen and are big businessmen. I mean, we can find here a kind of similarity with the Mubarak regime, with the importance of the involvement, direct involvement of businessmen in the politics. And 60% of these businessmen belong to Nida Tunis. So those Nida Tunis is actually representing the interests of these people who, most of them, were close to Ben Ali's regime and built this crony capitalism that developed under Ben Ali's regime for over 2 decades. This tendency, this neglection of the social and economic issue, one could say that it could be maybe reversed by the UGTT, the Tunisian General Labor Union, which is the main union in the country, playing an important role as a union, but also as a political actor. But, however, the strong labor union succeeded in fostering and promoting the democratic transition through brokering with other organizations, a kind of compromise between the Islamists and the secularists, but at the same time succeeded also in defending or negotiating, increasing its power of negotiation with the governments. Just to point out something important is that when I'm talking about the biggest labor union in the country, but it's basically a middle-class labor union. It's representing the public sector employees. 80% of the constituency of this labor union belongs to the public sector. So the power of negotiation of the union is weak in the private sector, but at the same time, regarding its role in brokering this kind of social dialogue or a political dialogue or compromise between the secularists and the Islamists, the labor union is playing a kind of role of guarantee for the new political order. So they played also a sort of role in neglecting this issue of social justice, or marginalizing the issue of social justice. Maybe I'm thinking about a discussion that I had with an employed university graduate who told me that the labor union is not representing us. They are, I mean, the labor union is representing its constituency. They are defending their interests. They are defending they are claiming for the improvement of the working conditions of the public sector employees because they estimate that public sector employees are exploited, are getting exploited. And you know, we want also to be exploited. So this is important to mention something that the big struggle in Tunisia also, or mainly, is not, it's about class struggle, but mainly about insiders and outsiders. When this young guy said that we want to be exploited, it's somehow to mention that he's represented nothing in the country. So, and even accepting solutions, I mean, not really the optimist solutions, but just to be as others, as the employed by the public sector or by the state, and defended by the unions. So, just maybe to conclude, policymakers now in Tunisia today are facing an important challenge, which is are Tunisians able to consolidate to democracy without redistributing economic resources? And this is a tricky question, really, a big problem. Political rights were redistributed at some point. People are now free to express their opinion, to participate to the elections, etc. But in terms of economic resources, redistributions, things are really, nothing has changed so far. The chance of Tunisia is maybe, unlike Egypt, is the existence of a kind of equilibrium of weakness between the actors in the country. I mean, no one is strong enough to govern, to rule by himself. That is a guarantee also for the country, or that is to say that no, Tunisia couldn't be ruled anymore by a dictatorship. The police is delegitimized and is in competition with the army. The army is no more marginalized, but it's not the Egyptian army or the Algerian army. It's impossible to, it's not able to govern the country. The Islamists, they are defending or they are acting to normalize to their position in the political system. They want really to integrate and to be part of the political system, and they are open to compromises. And the secularists and the old regime, represented mainly by Nida Tunis, are weak enough to still united, I mean. And this party is splitting and is divided now by at least in two parts, as the 30 MPs left the party last week. So the hope, there are many reasons for hope. One of them is this equilibrium between the power equilibrium between the political actors. The other reason is that social movements are really creating new forms of organization, and they are new forms of actions are being implemented. These movements, we can see that the new leaders are emerging. That they try also, and they keep saying that they want that these protests will be peaceful as possible, not really to went into to opt for violent choices, etc. And I think that the convergence of these social movements could maybe in the next few months or next few years, I don't know when exactly, but the convergence of all these social movements could really create a new political forces and give representations to these outsiders who were sidelined by the actual political process, and create a kind of equilibrium or reshape the new political order and the political sphere. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful contribution, and thanks for deconstructing this image of a success story and refocusing on the issue of social movements and the potentials, the future potential social movements have.